ABC Jeff here. I figured it'd be time for yet another contest entry video. However, this is going to be a multi-purpose video because I was going to make a video showing these recent finds, but I found that I could actually merge this together with the contest for Randall Weaver, and they can all kind of go together. So it's going to be a 2-for-1 type video, because what he wants to see for his contest is the Start Me Up contest. He wants to have you explore some of the things that get you going in the morning. It can be whatever you wake up and put on, whatever's in the background when you're making breakfast, maybe what's in the car when you're driving to work, anything like that. Not real strict about that. So now it all changes. Of course, it has changed in the past. When I would drive to work, I used to listen to the talk radio just because they'd have the news and stuff, and not, the silly stuff in the morning, the DJs in the morning with the radio. So it wasn't a lot of music. Now that I've been working from home for a while, it all really depends. A lot of it depends on the mood I'm in, but a lot of it depends on who's in the house, who's around the house, what I'm doing. For the most part, if I come and sit down to start working, it all depends on my mood, because usually by the time I put music on, most everybody else, as far as my wife and stuff, have left for work. And so it really depends on my mood. I would say there have been some mornings where maybe there's something brand new that I got the day before that I'm just anxious to get into, and regardless of the style, I may throw that on. But on an average typical day when I just have woke up and I'm like, I'm getting ready for work, and there's nothing new, that's nothing urgent on my plate that I want to check out, I do tend to start the day off a little slower. I don't jump right into the extreme metal or whatever, and so a lot of times I will go for something a little more laid back. Oftentimes it's either something on the pop side, it could be something, or in this case I'm going to be talking about things on the jazz side. Now, jazz for me, for the most part, is going to be more of a contemporary, modern jazz. Even my type of modern jazz, contemporary jazz, which differs from the all and out, improv jazz or fusion jazz or stuff that's a little more chaotic. It also appears to be, I always kind of thought it would be sort of like smooth jazz, but my wife listens to a lot of smooth jazz, and she doesn't think my music is smooth jazz at all. So for her, smooth jazz would be something along the lines of like Kenny G or Dave Koz or something. She's very much into the saxophone people, and I love Kenny G and Dave Koz, so that's not a problem. But I just kind of lumped it all in, and so I'll listen to this kind of stuff, and maybe it's a little more chaotic, and she just thinks it sometimes feels a little more chaotic. What we're going to be talking about, though, is a bunch of the modern contemporary jazz that I have gotten in the past couple weeks that I pulled together for this one video. Now, and this is the kind of stuff that I start my day off with, usually if I'm wanting to kind of ease into the day. And it's what I did today, and it's what I ended my night with last night too, because I got all these in, and I cleaned them up and been going through them. I showed this one a couple of videos ago, Billy Cobham's The Warning. Probably absolutely one of my favorite Billy Cobham. This is the album. This and one of the other ones I'm going to show next are the two albums that I purchased immediately upon discovering him in the mid-'80s. I was jamming with the guy. We were playing music. He's a guitar player, and him and his wife were big into jazz. We played a lot of rock and roll, and so we played rock, but they listened to jazz too. And they said, you need to check out Billy Cobham as a drummer. You should like that. So I did, and have been a lifelong fan since the mid-'80s. But this is where I discovered him. So I showed this album when I got it a couple weeks ago, and I mentioned that my second favorite album by him was in the mail, and it did come, Power Play. These are the two albums that I cut my teeth on for him. Now, prior to this, he was, a little more what you would call fusion. This was a little more, commercial. The songs were very, more commercial. There wasn't a lot of crazy improv that some people may associate with fusion. Anyway, these albums have been a staple in my collection since the mid-'80s, 85-ish, I think, is where I purchased these, and I've been picking up stuff by him since. I've touched on some of the older stuff in the past on CD. Now that I'm back into vinyl, of course, I'm going out and getting all the stuff in vinyl. So those two were a must-have. Found those for a good price. I went ahead and picked up Magic. This is one I've never owned even on CD before. Again, I found out that some of the stuff that would fall into those earlier, into the 70s years, are not as fusiony as I would have thought. I did show a couple months ago where I picked up the music on vinyl version reissue of the Spectrum album. Just an amazing album with Tommy Bolin on guitar and stuff. It's an amazing album, but and even that, it does, it tinkers here and there, but with the fusion or the, a little more of the chaotic, as my wife might say. But yeah, overall, there's just a lot of great, straightforward, more of a commercial, modern jazz type feel. And this one I got for real cheap, and it's got a lot of pops and cracks. It's I've cleaned it up, but it's got marks all over it. So I'm going to be looking for another one of these. I saw one in the local store a while back, and I didn't buy it because I just didn't buy it at that time. But I need to go back and see if they have it and see if it's any cleaner. Picture disc. This is one I've had on CD for a while. This one comes, I believe, after the ones that I had in the 80s. This is 87. Yeah, this would have been the next one. And so again, this continues on in the more of a modern, feel from his stuff. So I grabbed this recently. It was a real good, clean copy. This one's going back a little. Another one that I didn't have on CD back in the day. One of the earlier. This is a promo DJ copy. It's in decent condition when I got it. Again, I don't think I got these. Yeah, this is in really good condition. Most of these were like $2 or $3, so I am not complaining. I'm, trying to beef up the collection. I had 3 of his stuff on vinyl. Now I've got these additional 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever there. And then while I was at it, I picked this up. This is, I believe, my 4th Chick Corea or Return to Forever album. And yeah, for a couple dollars, I had to grab this. Again, this is probably, in good plus condition, maybe very good minus. It's got some pops and cracks, but nothing, I bought the other ones at a thrift store, and they were in the not super great condition, but not bad. This, it's just, this is kind of fusiony, but you've got some of the best musicians on these Return to Forever. Now, I know, that Ron has a couple of these albums by them, and he's got some that I don't have. There's still a handful of their albums that are out there that I still want to get. But man, the more I get them, Stanley Clarke and Al Di Meola, it's just Chick Corea. It's the more I listen to them, the more I'm just blown away by the talent. It's almost like an all-star band. Maybe in the day these guys were not necessarily the all-stars in the 70s, but when I discovered these particular guys' recordings in the 80s, these were the notoriety. They were notable. They were the all-stars. And you go back and put them all in one group. That's why I didn't even know who the Return to Forever was a couple years ago when I first ran into them in the thrift store. I didn't know, but I looked at the back and I'm like, oh. I started looking at the names. Yeah, these albums are coming home with me. Anyway, so I'm still beefing that up. I've listened to this a couple times. It is just a phenomenal album if you're into that stuff, which I am big time getting into. So I added a bunch of their other stuff to my want list. Spyro Gyra and Billy Cobham were the 2 jazz bands that my friend turned me on to that I have absorbed. I've seen Spyro Gyra in concert probably 4 or 5 times. Phenomenal band. Love their stuff. Hey, in case you didn't know, the Jay Beckenstein, the saxophone player, main guy behind this, played on a Dream Theater album way back earlier in the beginning, and Dream Theater has recorded a lot of their albums in his studio. So anyway, big fan of Spyro Gyra. I had to pick this up. It was actually still in the shrink wrap when I got it. It's a gatefold, which just has words on the inside, but the person I got it from, it was in shrink wrap, and it's in really good condition. And it wasn't sealed, but it was still in the shrink wrap, so I pulled that off and did that. This is one of the early albums. Love this stuff. Love the early albums. Now, somebody else that I purchased from for just a couple dollars extra, I went ahead and grabbed the very first self-titled Spyro Gyra album. And what I ended up receiving from them by mistake was Morning Dance, which I already have. And so now I have 2. So I only showed this because both of them are probably in very good plus condition. But the point being, if there are any Spyro Gyra fans out there who really, need a copy of this, let me know. I'm sure I can pass it on to somebody else. They just went ahead and refunded me the money, and so don't worry about sending it back. Because again, it was only a couple dollars. But great album. These earlier Spyro Gyra albums are just great. So anyway, that's it for now. That is the kind of stuff that I would tend to start my day off with. So Randall, there you go. Hopefully those will qualify for just easing into the morning with some smooth jazz. and that's the most recent smooth jazz I've got recently. So everybody check out Randall's site. The prizes are he's going to get something from our wish list and then something from his collection that he thinks we would like. And a while back he sent me 2 albums that he had in his collection that he thought I would like, and hopefully that's I don't know what else he has in his collection that I like, but he definitely passed on some really great stuff to me. So I'll be back. Thanks for watching. Rock on and rock hard.